Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing very, very well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. A day off for me today, which is nice. I've just got back from the gym. You know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm gonna start putting all my gym workouts on my Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on the Instagram, please do. It's Oladipo. I wanna see how far I can push my body into my 40s. I'm 41 now. I remember when I was a kid, 41 was like fucking old. Remember being in my teens and 20s and looking at my uncles thinking, geez, this is old. So yeah, I've always had it in my mind that once you get to 41, it's downhill from then. But I feel like I'm doing very good numbers in the gym. So I might document my progress as we try and get a six-pack in my 40s. 100% gonna happen. Just gotta be strict with the food and the drink. I say that because the weather's so good, I'm going for a drink later. Just one or two. Gotta have a nice little whiskey or a nice little cognac. All right, let's talk about two people that definitely, I don't think AJ drinks. Usyk probably has a beer or two, but I don't think these guys are drinkers. Let's talk about AJ and Usyk. The first press conference was yesterday. I mentioned that they're going to go to New York and London. I'm not quite sure about New York. I think they are, but it's London next week, Wednesday. I'm going to be there for that. I reached out to AJ's management team. I know a couple of them quite well. I know Freddie quite well, and I know KD quite well. And I reached out to them. I sent KD a voice note and said, look, dude, get AJ on the green chair. Like, AJ is in London next week. Look, if you don't try, you don't get anything, right? I said, look, AJ's in London next week. Why can't he come down to my studio for half an hour and let's chat? KD responded to me. He was like, yeah, I want to try and make it happen. Look, I hold no hope at all. Like, I won't hold my breath. But again, if you don't try, you don't get. One thing that was very visible from seeing Usyk yesterday is that he's definitely a lot bigger. Not much bigger. I think people exaggerate the size. He's not much bigger. But he's now 100% a fully fledged heavyweight. You know, like people like to say, oh, AJ got beat up by a cruiserweight. No. Usyk's a heavyweight. Usyk's not been a cruiserweight for, when was the Bellew fight? 2018? Was it November 2018, I think? I think it was that. He's not been a cruiserweight since then. So that's 4 years. This guy's a heavyweight. And the truth be told, most heavyweights, obviously you've got the guys that are like 6'5" and 6'6". Usyk's about 6'2", 6'3". Most heavyweights would be Usyk's size if they were in shape. You know, everyone talks about the heavyweights now being the land of the giants. It is for the tall ones, but the ones that are like 6'2", 6'3" are just out of shape. That's why they're 17, 18 stone. They shouldn't be there. Like Ruiz should be 16 stone, as an example. Ruiz is, what's he, 6'1"? 6'1", and how big he is. So Usyk is what a normal heavyweight should look like. He's in fantastic shape. He's going to be a bit bigger, I think, come fight night. Obviously, he's got 2 months now of, I guess, intense training, and I guess naturally the weight will come off. But he looks like he's in good shape. AJ is always in good shape, if I'm honest with you. I think we worry about AJ's weight, whether he's going to be 18'2", 18'3", like he was against Carlos Takam, or really like he was against Andy Ruiz. I think you have to find a happy medium somewhere, and I think that's around 17.5 stone. But AJ is an athlete. Like, I've been lucky enough to go and see AJ train. That motherfucker is an athlete. Like, he could have done, like, if AJ was in America, he would have been a fucking linebacker or something. He's a big man. AJ seemed confident. He always seems to talk well, but he seemed confident. He just, Usyk beat me last time. We've made some changes. Let's see what we can do. Usyk, it's just Usyk. When you know you're the pound for pound number one, when you know you're an Olympic gold medalist, a world championship gold medalist, you're naturally very, very confident. When you know you're unbeaten, when you know you've already beaten the man and think that you can beat him again more convincingly, the confidence just flows off him. It really does. So he should be confident. One thing that I thought was very interesting, and I said this, hopefully you guys, look, I do all the videos, so there are receipts there. Robert Garcia, and I'm sure you guys picked up on this, said he's been back and forth to London since December. Did you hear that? Now, I don't know if those were just interviews and little workouts. Most people do that. Most people, fighters, will go to gyms. You won't know about it. They'll go and train with a trainer just to have a look, just to have a see. Hit the pads, maybe have a conversation. Robert Garcia says he's been doing that since December. I think AJ, I know he done that little tour of America, but AJ has been training with Robert Garcia for a long time. He announced Robert Garcia last month. I said in the video when he announced him, Robert Garcia has been with him for a while now. Will that make a difference? Of course it will. Whether or not it's a 1% or 2% or maybe even a 5 or 10% difference, it will make a difference that he's had longer training sessions, even conversations, Robert Garcia being around him, being around AJ's house, just being around him. Just so there's a friendship there, there's something growing. I think it will make a difference come fight night. If Robert Garcia did really join the camp a month ago, it's just not long enough. It's just not long enough. But the fact that he's been with AJ or, around AJ since December, I think, and look, I'm just plucking at things here as an AJ fan, but I feel like that could make a difference come fight night. That there is now a relationship and AJ's, they would have been working on things. And like anything in life, the more you work in it, the better you'll get. And the fact that AJ's had now longer time to work on these changes that Robert Garcia is going to try and implement can only be a good thing. I'm not trying to say it's going to be the difference maker, but it can only be a good thing. Again, Robert Garcia says we want to make AJ a bit more aggressive. It's not like when Floyd Mayweather Sr. tried to turn Ricky Hatton into Floyd Mayweather in his fight against Manny Pacquiao. We're not asking that. We've seen AJ be aggressive. So all we're doing, really, all Robert Garcia is doing is saying, okay, yes, you've got to box a bit smart because you're fighting an elite here, but we're asking you to be a bit more aggressive like you were. I'm just going to bring that out in you again. We're going to work on your mental state. We're going to do everything we can do to get the job done. That's all it's going to be. We're going to work on everything we can do to get the job done. So look, again, that was the first presser. One thing I did like was the stare down. I liked it. And these guys done loads of stare downs, but the main one, when they're on the main stage, and first of all, they're like that, so they're staring at each other. Then Eddie's like, okay, turn to the side, and neither wanted to. Usyk, in fact, did it, but then he realized that AJ hadn't done it, and then Usyk kind of kept his glare at AJ, and then AJ kind of kept his glare at Usyk, and then finally AJ kind of just put his arm up and pointed, and Usyk was still staring at him, and I was like, yes, sold. Again, we don't know a broadcaster yet, but and I was speaking to Gareth A. Davis about this. I mean, look, we know the Sky Sports machine. We all understand it. We get it. And if it's not Sky Sports, will it do the same amount of numbers? I'm not quite sure, but it would do bloody big numbers. And look, obviously my social media, especially Twitter, is geared to boxing and sport, but I see trends. And I was looking at how this was trending, like this AJ Usyk saga, it was trending. Everyone was talking about it. And you'll be surprised how we help it go out there into the ether. Like even small channels, 30,000, big channels, millions. Everyone does their part. So as much as it's not the Sky Sports machine, you'll be shocked of how we are a machine for them without us even knowing, if that makes any sense. Whether we say things that are good or bad, we're putting it out there to all our followers. So millions of people would have known, would have known about the Usyk AJ press conference yesterday. Millions. I had done something on TalkSport. It was on Radio 5 Live. It was, Sky Sports spoke about it. So it's getting out there. And even if it's not on Sky, do not tell me that Sky Sports are not going to talk about AJ versus Usyk. I mean, that would be stupid. Do not tell me they're not going to talk about it. Of course they will. They might not give it the same push they would have if it was their own, but they're going to give it a push regardless. So I think even without the Sky Sports machine, this fight will do crazy numbers. Crazy. I think it will get that million mark. I really, really do. I think this is a big one. This is a big one. And again, they're doing a London press conference, and I'm led to believe they're doing a New York press conference as well. Obviously try and get that American dollar. So I think this fight's huge. I think it's really, really huge. And I look forward to seeing the one on Wednesday. Hopefully, even if I don't get AJ in the studio, and look, I know it's a bit far-fetched, but hopefully DAZN allow me to do something with AJ. Surely I get a conversation with him on Wednesday. I don't just want to do Eddie Hearn and the rest. I want to do I want to speak to the main man, so hopefully they do. And it'll be interesting to see again when they're going to announce the undercard. I mentioned that we got a good undercard the last time AJ was in Saudi Arabia, if we remember. We got Povetkin versus Michael Hunter, draw, great fight. What was it again? Chisora, Dillian White versus Vac, a comeback fight for Dillian White. What else? We had Hrgovic versus Molina. There was a couple of other fights on the undercard, but it was mainly a heavyweight card. I think they're going to try and do a female fight, which would be, I mean, that will be Saudi Arabia's way of saying, no, we're open for business. If they do a female fight card, we'll see. All right, let's have a look and see if there are any stories to talk about. Let's see. WBC president, this is Mauricio Suleiman, plans to invite Tyson Fury to Mexico, hopes to discuss boxing future. Not interested right now, if I'm honest with you. Not interested with anything that Tyson Fury's doing right now. Are you fighting or not? It's a bit like when Conor McGregor used to announce, "I'm retired." Just retire then. Don't care. Move on. Like, what are we doing? If you're fighting, fully invested in Tyson Fury because he's the best heavyweight on the planet. If you're not fighting, the sport moves on. We'll see what's going to happen. Usyk here dismisses talk that ongoing war has given him added motivation to win. It probably isn't sort of intentional, if that makes any sense. He probably isn't thinking, a war's going on, I'm fighting for my country, but deep down inside, it probably is going to be that extra bit of fuel he needs, I think, because, mentally, there must be a part of him that's like, I want to be back in Ukraine. There must be. He's a fighter. There must be. And I'm not trying to say that he's on the front line, but there must be a part of, I want to defend my country. There must be. So I think there'll be a bit of motivation from what's going on in his home country. And I'm sure once the fight's over, he's going straight back. So we'll see. I see this. Nate Diaz angles for a Jake Paul fight. He's asked the UFC to release him. I have bigger shit to do. The UFC and these contracts are incredible. I find them just like, more people need to look into these UFC contracts. I think there's the Ali Act, right? I don't know if that crosses boxing and all of fighting, but there's something about these contracts which are just horrible. Honestly, horrible. And every big fighter, I guess apart from Conor, because Conor doesn't give a shit and he's fucking a billionaire, every big fighter has complained about them. Francis Ngannou complained. I know for a fact Israel Adesanya has complained. John Jones obviously complaining. We've got Nate Diaz there. These are not small-time fighters. These are big fighters that are complaining. Lucas Brown, eager to face Daniel Dubois. I want my old title back. Frank will probably make that fight. Zero interest in it. Zero interest. Look, Lucas Brown's going to get something, and he deserves to get something because he's coming off that good win against Junior Farr. And Junior Farr took Joseph Parker all the way in which was the worst fight I've ever seen, but he took Joseph Parker all the way. So I guess there deserves to be something. We'll see. I'm going to do a separate video on this one. I think it deserves it. Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz, done now, 100%. September the 4th, Fox Sports pay-per-view from the Crypto.com arena. If you don't know what that Crypto.com arena is, it's the old Staples Center where the LA Lakers play. Be a good atmosphere, that. Good atmosphere. This kind of goes back to what I was saying about Usyk sort of being a real heavyweight now, because both of these guys, if they were in shape, would be Usyk's weight. But okay, cool. Canelo versus Golovkin, the trilogy lands at the T-Mobile Arena. That's where Canelo obviously recently fought, and it makes sense because that's where their first two fights were. If the zone has got AJ Usyk, this is a big little run that the zone will have. To go AJ Usyk on the 20th of August, and then I believe Canelo Triple G is the 17th of September. That alone is massive. And it's kind of very similar to what they did when they had Katie Taylor, Serrano, then back-to-back they had Canelo Bivol. These are the ones. DAZN, as much as people might say DAZN aren't doing, not doing everything, it could be doing better. All they need is maybe 4 or 5 of those a year, maybe more, maybe, ideally one a month. Ideally you want one a month, right? And then you have the other smaller shows, and they are classed as smaller shows, as much as, they don't get the title as next gen or whatever, but you have the one a month, which are considered your pay-per-view shows worldwide, so I'm not just talking about the UK. And then you have what is considered your Saturday night shows. And then you have maybe a next gen card. Like there's a card in Sheffield, Dalton Smith, I think's headlining, fighting for the British title. That's really and truly a next gen card. And then you've got what we've got July 9th. I say we, obviously DAZN. You've got July 9th, Chisora Pulev. That's classed as a Saturday non-pay-per-view card, you know what I mean? Let's hope that we get good opponents for the likes of Fabio Wardley and Felix Cash. I haven't really had a look at the card yet. But yeah, big fight card, that one. Canelo, Triple G, big fight card. And it will be a good fight. It will be a good fight for as long as it lasts. I think everyone's assuming that Canelo will destroy Triple G and knock him out. I'm not too sure. We'll see. We will see. Virgil Ortiz, I hope I don't have to fight for vacant titles. I want Crawford or Spence. I don't know if Crawford or Spence will stay around at 147, win or lose. I think Spence will definitely go to 154. If Spence beats Crawford, he's going 154 and he's going up as the undisputed. He's not standing around for, you know, Jaron Ennis, and no disrespect, Virgil Ortiz. He's not going to do that, is he? You don't fight Crawford, clean up, and then go backwards. You go up to 154 and see if you can be a 2-weight world champion. That's what you do, because then you start to do this legacy chasing thing. So he's not staying around. And I don't think Crawford as well. Crawford's called out Jamal Charlo, so he's already thinking he can go to 154. So Virgil Ortiz will fight for a vacant title. He will not fight the winner or loser of Crawford and Spence. That's just my own opinion. Anything else? 2 seconds. Let's just quickly have a look if there's anything else. Not much really. Gilberto Ramirez, everyone seems to forget about him when everyone talks about 175. Maybe because we're over here. Obviously we focus on the Brits over here, and then we focus on the two Europeans, being obviously Bivol and Beterbiev. No one really talks about Ramirez, who's unbeaten, world champion at 168. It's gone up to 175, has looked okay relatively. He wants that Bivol fight desperately. I think everyone needs to maybe put his name in the mix. I think we just kind of don't, for some weird reason. Maybe it's because he just wasn't promoted correctly, I'm not quite sure, but he needs to be in the mix. Like he probably could beat, and probably would beat right now, Yard and Boazzi, if I'm being brutally honest. Probably would. Big at 175 as well, was very big at 168. Looks as pretty much the same size at 175. So let's see what he does. Right, before we wrap, as always, let's quickly jump over to Mike Coppinger's Twitter page. Guys, we're moving quite well with the subscribers. Thank you so much. I think we're nearly at 32,000. Remember, the aim is 40,000 by the end of the year. So if you haven't, please do. It's funny, what he's got on there is, this was yesterday. That was 19 years ago, where Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko went to battle. Obviously, that was Lennox Lewis's last fight as well. It got stopped on cuts, but it's weird. They're showing right now the clip where Klitschko threw the uppercut from hell and Vitaly didn't go down. Like, that's when I knew like, avoid him. Avoid this man like the plague. Like, that uppercut, Lennox literally put everything into it. Like, you can't do more than what Lennox did. And bear in mind, I mean, these guys have been going to war for the first 5 rounds. Then he landed that uppercut and it did nothing. Jesus, Vitaly was one dangerous man. I still think him and his brother have the best nicknames ever in the sport of boxing, ever. And I like, you know, Smoking Joe, but Dr. Steelhammer and Dr. Iron Fist. It's incredible. You know, he's got a really good name. This is so random. We're stopping the video now anyway. Kerman Laharaja. I think his nickname is the Revolver. Sold. Take my money, Kerman. All right, guys, we are done. I think, yeah, that's it. We are done. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather, and we shall speak soon. Peace.